All right, for those of you who have a neat scanner, mine is a model, let's see, ND-1000. I still use this with the neat desktop software. And today I started getting a paper jam error. Every single time that I would scan a document, it would tend to seem like it was trying to scan another page, and then the software would just come up with both a paper jam error, and then you'd see the two lights here, instead of being green, they would just be blinking red. And I tried inside the scanner, I tried cleaning out here, moving this guy to the side, taking the roller out behind it by clicking those two wheels and popping the roller out. Additionally, down here, there is a paper jam sensor right here. And that sensor felt like it was functioning normally, but it apparently had an issue. So after cleaning it, figuring out that I couldn't figure out how to rectify it, essentially I decided to take it apart. So I'm going to show you how to take it apart and fix what problem I had, and hopefully that'll give you some resolution as well. So inside the scanner door, obviously the unit's unplugged and not powered on, there are 6 screws. And I've already taken mine out, so I'll spare you the expense of watching that, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 screws, and they're essentially all these smaller screws like so. And once you get those off, you can then just sort of pry the sides. I might have to set my phone down. So you can then just pry these sides off, and the scanner cover with the buttons will pop right off. And it's really not that difficult. Once you get it off, there you can see the inside. There's your scanner buttons and where all the screws were located. So just set that aside, and then here you'll be working with the circuit board and all of the scanner connections on the inside screen. So essentially, taking this guy apart's pretty dang straightforward. You just have to take off this first screw right here with the grounds. Set that aside. You'll take this middle screw out, and then based on how your wiring is, there's actually a third screw right back here that you'll take out as well, holding another ground down. So you'll take those 3 screws off, and once you take those 3 screws off, you can just lift the circuit board out. For me, I took all of these ribbons off, and I'll show you how to reconnect those after I show you the fix, because I've already done this, but I wanted to give you a demonstration. But essentially all you'll need to do is pull this little guy off right here. And once you pull that off, you can move the circuit board out of the way, and it'll expose the paper jam sensor, which is right here. And to get that sensor off, it's really actually pretty easy. It just clips in there, and it only goes in one way. So if you get your thumb underneath it or a finger underneath it, you should just be able to pop it right out. And that's your sensor right there. So this is the sensor that detects whether there's a paper jam or not. And I'm not sure what kind of sensor this is, if it's magnetic or some other type of electronic sensor that identifies when this piece is down or up, but that's what it looks like. And so on mine, there's a soldering issue inside here, and I'll walk you through what I did to fix mine, what it looked like, and how the soldering fixed it. Overall, the job took me probably about, I'd say, I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes. And after my first soldering attempt, and I'm not a good soldering expert, so your mileage may vary based on how well you solder, but I was fortunate in that my issue was resolved the very first attempt. So hope this helps you. All right, now that you have the circuit board off, you can now take the paper jam sensor right out, and it actually just pulls out. If you just get your finger under the bottom and pull towards you, it'll come out, and you'll see there's 2 clips here and here that hold it in there. Okay. Now, once you have this off, it's a little bit tricky to get this guy taken apart, and you'll see mine's a little scuffed up because I've done it a few times, but the best way I found was to use an X-Acto knife. And then you want to get your X-Acto right in there. I don't know if you can see that right in there. Until you maybe hear a click. Mine probably doesn't. And then I just sort of wedged it out a little bit so that you can see. Oops. right here it's trying to separate, and then you'll do the same thing on the other side. Wedge it in there and slide it out. Yours is probably going to be a little bit firm at first because it's the first time it's been taken off, but mine is a little bit loose. You'll see there's a notch right here where those wires will go, so you'll always remember that goes in this direction. Now I found that using my X-Acto to get in here to just help wedge it out a little bit was beneficial. And then it just slides right out. Now I noticed on mine that this pink side right here, let's see if I can get that focused, pink side, you'll see the soldering is toast on that guy. So I'm going to touch it up and see if fixing the soldering will take care of our issue. Alright, so this is my post soldering job, and like I mentioned, I'm not a very good solderer, but it looked like the back piece was soldered to this blue wire, and the other piece, the other post, was soldered to the black wire. So that's how I've tried to re-solder it. I'm gonna plug it in, give it a go, and see if it works. It's no longer loose, which is the nice part. Alright, so now I'm gonna just reinstall this guy. Just a reminder that cable should go on the right side. I'll plug it in there. Slide it in, make sure it's flush. That way that triggers properly. And then this little guy. Remember there's that little notch for those cables to go through. Sits on top. And then should just slide in there. Click into place. Okay. And then when you go in to reinstall it on the actual scanner, you'll see that down below this bar right here is where the little needle will go. And then with a little maneuvering, it just clicks back into place. There you go. Alright, so we'll reinstall the circuit board really quick, and on my circuit board I had a little bit of paint on these connectors right here and here, so that way I can tell which one of my cables goes to which, and you'll see that this one matches that paint and the other one back here matches the other paint, like so. So we'll get those connected. Make sure they're nice and snug. Those two are good. And then I'll get my ribbon connector put back in there as well. It's a little short, so pulling it out helps a little bit to get it in there. Okay, now that I have that, I will get my screws back in place. Got that ground cable there. And it's not too hard to figure out where they go. There's only 3 dedicated screw holes on the back of this thing that they can go. So there's one there. There's going to be one here, and then the last one will be here with these other 2 ground cables that are hiding out. Okay, and then I'll make sure I get my paper jam sensor plugged back into the back of the circuit board. And that's it for getting that circuit board back on. If you want to test your neat scanner first without putting the cover back on, you can do that. Otherwise, you can go ahead and snap it back in place if you want to. I'm going to test mine first to make sure that the soldering job is actually the problem and that the switch itself doesn't need to be replaced.